Divine warning by the prophet for the nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a national constitutional government and cling to the names and principles that allude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to that state of mind of their forefathers' divine and national principles, that they will be law abiders and receive their divine right as citizens according to their free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it only comes through the connection of the Moorish Divine National Movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. And through it, and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under a free national constitution of the state's government, and not under a granted privilege, as has been the existing condition for many generations. You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those that know law in the city hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under an intelligent tone, and they will be glad to render you a favorable reply, for they are glad to see me bring you out of darkness into the marvelous light. Money doesn't make the man. It is free national standard and power that make a man in a nation. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce belong to the citizens alone. And without your national citizenship by name and principles, you have no true wealth. And I'm hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a national free government and enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of government. I am depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national constitution of the United States of America. I love my people, and I desire their unity and mind back to their own national divine standard, because day by day they have been violating the national and constitutional laws of their government by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. If the Italians, Greeks, English, Chinese, Japanese, Turks, and Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States of America, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens alike and all other governments when a man is born and raised there and then asks for his national descent name. And if he fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. Any group of people that fail to answer up to the constitutional standards of law by name and principles, because to be a citizen of any government, you must claim your national descent name, because they place their trust upon issue and names formed by their forefathers. The word Negro alludes in the Latin language to the word nigger, the same as the word color alludes to anything that is painted, varnished, and dyed. And every nation must bear a national descent name for their forefathers, because honoring thy fathers and thy mothers, your days will be lengthened upon this earth. These names have never been recognized by any true American citizen of this day. For your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government in which they live. The 14th and 15th Amendment brought the North and South in unit, placing the Southerners who were at that time without power with constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was enforced since 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendment for the salvation of our people and citizens. So there isn't but one supreme issue for my people to use to redeem that which was lost, and that is through the above statements. Then the lion and the lamb can lie down together in yonder hills, and neither will be harmed, because love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will be reigning in this land. In those days, the United States would be one of the greatest civilized and prosperous governments of the world. But if the above principles are not carried out by the citizens and people in this government, the worst is yet to come, because the great God of the universe is not pleased with the works that are being performed in North America by my people, and this great sin must be removed from the land to save it from enormous earthquakes, diseases, etc. And I, the prophet, do hereby believe that this administration of government being more wisely prepared by more genius citizens that believe in a free national constitution and laws, and through the help of such classes of citizens, I, the prophet, true believe that my people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers and learn to stop serving carnal customs and merely ideas of man that have never done them any good, but have always harmed them. So I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with a divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin which has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way. And without understanding, they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin. And there is not a nation on the earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically, etc., in their present condition of their endeavorment, in which they themselves try to enforce upon a civilized world. They will not refrain from their sinful ways of action, and their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that brings harm to human beings on earth. And they fought the Southerner for all these great misuses. But I have traveled in the South and examined conditions there, and it is the works of my people continuously practicing the things that bring dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lives the life. And I am hereby calling on all true American citizens for moral support and finance that help me in my great missionary work to bring my people out of darkness into the marvelous light from the Prophet Islam. Divine Constitution of Moorish America. The Grand Sheik and Chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and body of Moorish America. The Assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended to this Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister because Allah is love. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government because by being a Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this government, of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted into 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time, and all men must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Jew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become part and parcel of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America. And then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Son and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali, through the guidance of his father God Allah, Islam. Peace and love, Nile.
Oh, peace and love, everybody. How's everyone doing?
All is well. All is well. Brother DL, Brother DL, peace and love. How you feeling over there?
Peace and love, Islam. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. How's everybody doing? Peace and love, Morris.
Love, boy.
Peace and love. Doing good.
Just once again, I'm having a little technical issue with the camera. Like I said earlier, I just come to the conclusion that Zoom just does what it wants to do. I had this issue a couple weeks ago, so that's why it's not live, but it's definitely me. It's definitely me.
Gotcha.
Um, so I know the brother Justin said he had a couple things, couple notes. I'm just gonna go into what I had queued up. You can interrupt me if something sparks. It's the whole thing is to everybody have clarity on what we're going over. So anybody feel free to stop me. I'm just gonna go in to what I had queued up. Or you can address questions on the back end, or however y'all want to do it. Um,
What would be the best for you? Because I do have also a few questions that I would like to, get some clarification on as well. But I don't want to deviate from, the lesson plan either. So what would be best for you?
all right, let's just address the question right now.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, let's address the question right now.
Let's do it. All right. So, one of the questions I have is that I did some research about like, words and like what their meaning is. I've come to the conclusion that like most of the religions have this same like connection to the same like entity. Um, he goes by either Enlil, Zeus, Jupiter, Indra, and I'm just looking for some clarification because I read the Clock of Destiny, how like the zodiac and the birth of your when you're born, it's like a picture, a snapshot of the universe. I'm just curious if the ancients are alluding to, you know, something real or they're being symbolic.
Typically symbolic, referencing something real.
Mm.
I think that's called anthropomorphic. Um, I'm trying to think. All right, phrase a question. Phrase a question right now.
Okay. So basically, uh, the God that they in the Jewish term they call him Yahweh. But essentially the when you look at the root word, it's connected to Enlil, Zeus, Jupiter, Indra. Basically, in various religions, they have the same like root, like lightning god or whatever. So I'm wondering if that's referring to something, the ancients saw that was real, or is it something, just like you said, anthropomorphized, like just for human understanding of something cosmic.
Exactly. All right, Islam, Nanel. Yeah, it's just yeah, exactly. It's anthropomorphic. It's
Okay.
you know, no matter what name is given to it, it doesn't change the source. It's like saying Easter, but if you don't know the background of it's Esther, right? And
Yeah.
then, or or Astarte or Venus,
Yeah, Venus. Yes.
you just know, okay, that's Venus. And then,
Mhm.
the attributes of Venus is dealing with, love, vibration, fertility,
Yeah, beauty.
things being
Green.
grown, you know, working in tandem with the moon, right? For you know what the moon does for the planet, right?
It's like a reflector, right? A great reflector.
It's a satellite, and it controls the water flow on the planet and in the water in the humans,
Yeah.
and controls the woman's menstrual cycle, So, yeah, so you just need and that's the beauty of more science, man, because you're gonna get the uncut before it got fractionalized,
Yes.
and all this symbolic expression for the source start popping up, and then after a while, people lost sort of the root and just start praising the symbolic examples of the root and don't even if that makes sense.
Yes, because it's some of it is nonsensical if you read some of their descriptions.
Yeah,
Well, thank you.
I'm
That's what I needed right there.
no doubt, no doubt. Brother Carlton Beverly, peace and love, man.
blessed, brother. Peace and love. Blesses everybody.
Peace and love, man. Oh yeah, so we got yeah. So after this the meeting we'll go over your paperwork and stuff too.
Looking forward to it.
Benjamin Bay, I felt like you wanted to chime in. Was I wrong?
Oh no, you wasn't wrong. I was gonna say for the previous brother's question when he was asking about what is it for and all that. It reminded me when you was going over going over with the prophet was just saying following carnal customs that lead to slavery. So following just the allegorical part of it leads you down just to the way of just slavery. So that's a testament to be like, hey, they're teaching something that's not the root. You know what I mean? So that's what I was going to chime in on. That brother just went over it in warning for the letter to be read. So that was just another form of following carnal customs. By not looking at Easter, Jupiter as stars, what they are, and just go for the diluted, watered down version of it, which keeps you living outside of yourself instead of going within. So all these tools are for us. All these external tools, such as the planets and all that, are for us to go within. So whenever you hear that,
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Okay. You pretty clear, Brian. You got anything else?
No, that clears it up tremendously. Thank you, guys.
Brother Justin? Yeah.
Yeah, my question was, well, I had two questions. So I needed to know how to put my tassel back in my fez. My daughter got a hold of it and pulled it out, and that was one question. But as well, you probably could help me out on the back end or something. But mine was to understanding, or and as far as explaining the etymologic definitions of certain words. Like I do get it when I'm on here and you explain it and I see it, but as well as when I'm talking about it, there's still a disconnect, I feel. So it's like two words that I'm on currently are estate and mortgage. And I get that it's, the current definitions that we know of, that I know, are not the current, are not the ancient or definitions. But I was wondering if you could actually show me and I guess break down what I don't quite get as far as estate and mortgage. Just those two examples that I think that'll help me, go further with any other words.
Oh, so you wanna make sure you know what those two definitions mean or what that entails?
As far as what they mean, and then as far as I see someone just put in the chat. Would it be the Black's Law Dictionary or more so the etymology dictionary, or just both, or
Yeah, well, both. But the law dictionary will be, and the brother put something in the chat too. You're going to check out, brother Benjamin Bay.
Mhm.
We're dealing with law. you're dealing with the land of the law of the land and the states and stuff like that. It would be in a law dictionary. So what I
That's
recommend,
the Black's law, right?
yeah, or I recommend fourth edition. Look up mortgage, and then look up estate. That's what I
In
recommend.
the Black's law, and not the etymology dictionary, then, right? Because that's where I was looking at that.
Go to the law. We dealing,
Okay.
yeah. You go to the law dictionary because it's a jurisdiction issue. No,
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that could be what I'm not, because when you explain, like I said, I get when you're saying like the estate is a body of people, is as far as us the Moors that are competent of their nation, but
no.
that's not what I or
No. That's a state like that, which is short for nation state. You're saying the difference between mortgage and estate, like with an e in front. That's what you're asking me, right?
Oh, so then I didn't quite hear the right word. Then can you tell me the difference in what I'm saying and the one you're saying?
So a state, which is short for nation state, is a group of people that share the same nationality that are organized and they submit they pledge to a constitution or a bylaws and agree to the terms.
That's like
Right.
a state, like what we think California is, or
That's just state, the nation state.
state. Oh,
It's an organized body, and they have economical businesses attached. It's an ecosystem. You're able to pay. You're able to put your members or your citizens on payroll to do X, Y, Z. The members are paying dues or taxes,
mm-hmm.
not to the IRS, but to their nation state.
To the nation state.
An ambassador, it's like I say, it's the ambassadorship is equivalent to like being a missionary. You're just a competent members or citizens of a nation state that are pushing the political agenda. So we'll keep expanding and thriving by any means, any means necessary, intellectually, savvily, building relationships and bonds with people that have influence off that want to help, that want to assist. But in order for that to happen, the ambassador need to be competent in history and law and what the mission is of the body that they're part of. Right. So to be an ambassador. So that's a state. That's all nation state. Now, estate is dealing with land. Now, land and you can pass your estate down to your heirs, to your beneficiaries, to your sons or daughters. That's an estate. An estate is not just land, it's just property that is part of your assets.
Yeah.
Now we're talking trust law. Now we're talking,
Yeah, that's what I've been wanting to get into as well. But I feel I needed the definitions of these words and as far as like you were saying, mortgage is like I was listening to another one of your sessions as far as it's like a lien, I guess you were saying.
Yes, so that now, yeah. So a mortgage is a lien on something. So it's a property. You see a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. You see it. You see a sign in front of it with a phone number. With somebody with a suit on. You contact them about a property that had nothing to do with them. Had nothing to do with them at all. They just put a stick in the ground. You're going to contact them and say, look, I want to enter into a contract where for the next 30 years, I'll give you $1,200 a month. And if I miss a payment, you can default and have the house.
That's what pretty much the mortgage is, right?
That's the lien.
The lien.
That you voluntarily went to the bank and established that relationship. So now it's legal. Islam, peace and love, brother Leon Bay.
So I've in breaking down the word, I've heard it means something like is it a dead lien or like more like mortician? That whole the root word of that.
Oh yeah, so yeah. Okay, so now etymology wise, yeah. Now we're talking about what the word means etymology wise is dead. It's a dead pledge.
Okay, a dead pledge. Like that's what I'm saying. I guess just different definitions, and it makes it challenging for me to explain it because I guess I'm looking for the true, but I guess what I'm realizing then, in what context are we speaking then? Are we talking in law or are we talking in uh I don't know what else, what other context would it be here? Personal or just the correct definition then?
Yeah, you just explain both. Like, you know,
Okay.
it kind of go hand in hand. I mean, because dead pledge and then lien, lien is like a pledge. And you can remember with the example, you're going to the bank, you're establishing these terms. You're
Mhm.
saying, okay, if I ever miss a payment, you can have the house.
Right.
You're voluntarily doing that. But it's still
Right.
it's a legal contract. It's not
And
lawful, but it's legal
not lawful, but it's legal. I'm making it legal because I go into the contract willingly.
willingly.
Yeah.
Willingly.
Not knowing the true facts. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Not knowing. I'm sorry. What you say?
Okay, so when you enter the contract, right? Like if you're new, like you're fresh out of school and you enter a contract, you don't know the contract rules, so you just enter into. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you're just entering into a contract, but not really lawfully entering into a contract.
Right. Not fully competent of what I'm getting into. Right.
Right, you're acting as a minor because you don't know that a contract has two wet signatures to it and so forth.
Right.
Okay, I signed, and now I'm liable.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And so like that I think that would be something like I think when we get off of the live, I would like to talk a little bit more, or if I could possibly connect with some of the other brothers on here, like yourself, Elon, who I'm seeing right now. Yeah, I would love to talk to you more, just about my situation and how I can move forward with the property that I'm currently in. Me and my family are currently in. Like, don't have any issues, but just want to understand what we're in, and as far as clearing up how to move forward and how to purchase more properties and things like that of that nature.
Yeah.
I'm seeing there's a lot in the chat, but those were the like I said, just about my feds and just really understanding understanding definitions etymologically and I guess law, not realizing that I was combining them all in one and getting confused.
But you can also go to RV Bay Publications and get a printout how to live within contracts. Whenever you go to
RV Bay.
Yeah, Bay Publications, and it's a printout on there you can get that says how to live within contract, and that'll give you steps on how to converse when going to get properties or anything like that. So you'll know how to properly do paperwork.
Yeah. Okay, I wrote that down too. I went on Contracts 101. I heard Brother Mafia say that in one of the videos as well, and I've just been reading that too. So
yeah, all of the etymology and the dictionary, the law dictionary, it all complements itself. So it's a very complex. So it ain't just one pot to get from. You know what I mean? So the etymon gives you the legs to go into the Black Law Dictionary because you got to know what the
actual word means. Okay, I get what you mean.
STA, like state, STA means to stand firm. You know what I mean? So when you hear a state, that's right. Or land. When brother was talking land, so the land is firm. You can stand on the land. So a state, which going vowel and state or STA stand. So you're firm. So we're firm in the mind. And once okay, I see how the Black Law Dictionary works. Actually, I think.
I don't know if it's just me, brother, but you kind of jumping in and out. I'm only hearing every other word.
My connection. But I was basically saying the etymon allows you to properly go into the Black's Law Dictionary, so you actually know what the words mean. You know, when you break them to the root word, suffixes, and the prefix, and that will help you out a bit.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I really...
Brother Justin, did you look at the chat? You see everything that's being put in the chat?
Yeah, I'm looking in it right now. I'm looking in it right now, and I did actually get that free app as well. But I was having complications or confusion in reading it. So maybe you could possibly help me out with that too, brother Elon Bay. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, you are Elion.
Elion.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Just no.
Yeah, so he put his number in the chat. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, I'm writing it down right now. Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, just me and my studies.
Just send me a text right now so that way I can put it in the phone, or I know.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
You would send me a text. That way I know who's sending it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll send you one right now. And then yeah, I'm looking at just a lot of information. Timber, upright walls, boundary cities. Oh man, I sent a lot of good stuff. Okay.
Yeah, that's what we're here
Thank
for,
you.
man.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, we need equals. We don't need followers.
Yes. I'm sending that to you.
Yeah, any other questions, Dustin?
No, not at the moment. No, that was just I guess if you wanted to tell me how to put the tassel on the fez, I don't know if that was, or we wanted to wait till later for that. That was the only other question.
I'll have to show you. My camera's not working for whatever reason today, but
another time that'd be fun.
Yeah. I'll call you later. And I gotta walk you through it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
But
so
that's I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. So I wanted to continue with more case law. We went over some things last week, but it's always good to have more ammunition that we know about and can competently upload and reference and all that good stuff. All right. So some of this is a review, but it's a good review. Some of it is new. So waiver of rights. And we were talking about that, right? Voluntarily dealing with the mortgage. You're waiving your rights to a degree, even though you don't know better.
Mm-hmm.
But once you know better, you realize that you can undo that, and that's not really a binding contract no more, right? So it's a slippery slope there that they're playing. All right, so let's see. So law requires that the corpus delicti be established independently of any confession before the confession is admitted into evidence. Bassett versus State. Corpus delicti, injured party. Be established. So that's the pecking order. It's already been established. Injured party must be established before you pretty much move on. That's the bottom line. And that's also Frazier versus State. Stated another way, no criminal conviction may be based upon an extrajudicial confession by the defendant himself unless there is prima facie evidence of the corpus delicti of the crime independent of the statement. Queen versus State. So 2 case laws, 2 similar positions. Let's look at Pondexter versus Green Howe. Waiver of constitutional rights not only must be voluntary, they must be knowingly intelligent acts done with sufficient awareness. So that goes back to what you were saying, Brother Justin, or what we were talking about as far as you're not aware. And what Elian was alluding to, that you're just not aware. So the fact that you're not aware, the contract's not binding now, right?
Mhm.
Decent. That's decent.
All right, so let's look at Carnley versus Cochran. Presuming waiver from a silent record is impermissible. The record must show, or there must be an allegation and evidence which show that an accused intelligently and understandingly rejected or waived their rights. Anything less is not a waiver, right? So you're not intelligent if you get into if you knew everything that you know about the mortgage. Now keep in mind,
You wouldn't get any.
now I'm gonna say I'm not gonna say that because it's people that will use that and still like use it advantageously, right? They'll monopolize that and still make it work for them, right?
Okay, work
But
work this.
yeah, they'll work it. But most people are looking at it like this is how I own. I have ownership now because I have a mortgage. I have ownership, and
Right, right,
I have to pay this bank, right? That's the part that most people don't know, right?
right.
And that's the fraud. Because
The
if it ever was a foreclosure, they're gonna just start packing. They're not gonna know the remedy that they have um to clap, to undo the to freeze it, put a brake on, pump the brakes on the stuff based on Security Exchange Commission violations, securities violations, you know.
I have a quick question pertaining to this matter right now, or what you just said as far as like working the system. But let's as I'm becoming competent of the contract or the fraudulent terms in there, the I guess not knowing all of the next steps, but does that still make the property mine, or being that, like, I guess what happens after that once you know that they've done what they've done, and then moving forward, is it still your property once you void the contract or you drop another contract? Like, I'm not really sure, how does that go moving forward? How do you still keep the property and put it in the correct form to where it is properly yours and moving forward like that?
It's gonna come a time where you want to draw the line and make a stand and say, you know what, I'm not making no more payments, because because look, when you make that claim, their position gonna be what? Pre-foreclosure,
Foreclose the house.
then
Yeah.
then foreclosure, right? Now that's their position. Now
Uh-huh.
you're in court, but see, the thing is, now you're in court, right?
Mm.
And when
Okay.
you're dealing with civil matters, you can't they can't kick you out your house. That's a process when you're dealing with real estate and tenants and stuff like that,
Mhm.
right? So you're gonna be in open court on principles. The key is you need to be competent on the principles. And like I said, you got to weigh everything out. What's your current situation?
Right.
What you know, are you willing to, if things go left field, you got a backup plan, or
Right.
but, you know,
And not looking to go into action right now, but just knowing the steps. I guess like having a few steps ahead as far as like I'm playing chess, and just wanted to know as well now that I'm privy to this information.
yeah, it's gonna come. Okay, so basically, I guess in summary, like let's say an ideal world, you feel competent, you're in a position in your life where you want to test this out, right? What's going to happen is your position is you're going to not pay no more,
Right.
and
That's how you start the
but you're
process.
but your position in law, you're going to same thing like we went over with these court exhibits and sending in writs to the court. It's the same position to the owner of the bank, to the property management. It's the same position, but you need a trust. You're saying, oh,
right.
That's the thing. It's prerequisites. Do you have a trust established? Do you comprehend what trust law is? Um,
Yeah.
and things of that nature, like to the
Mhm.
fullest. Um, because what's going to happen is not only are you going to expose the fraud of the mortgage, but at the same breath, you're going to say, I'm conveying this into my
This
estate.
the my state or my estate?
Estate,
My estate.
right? Which is under contract, under a lawful contract, right?
Mhm.
Which is protected under what they say in the Constitution. You know, they can't interfere with lawful contracts. You know, it's already done. It's a done deal.
Right,
Right.
as
So
Brother Brian put in the chat, the contract regulations, law, and constitution is at the apex of the triangle, right? Is
exactly,
that okay?
exactly. Lawful contracts. And
Lawful
once you
contract.
establish the mortgage was not a lawful contract, you putting it into your estate is what they call in their world first in time, first in line, right? You had a first time lien. That's what they call it. Your
First,
trust, your estates. Yeah. Right.
heard that before.
So, once again, you would draft in the affidavit form certain principles and certain fraudulent things. Like I say, I would study the Security Exchange Commission.
Mhm.
I would um I would study I think it's like Title 18 USC dealing with it's like handling security. It's basically handling securities. Basically they're making money off an instrument that you created and they're fractionalizing and it's investors, right? But you're the principal. You're the one that got that established, right?
Right.
So all things that are generated as a derivative of something you put in circulation, that's an asset of yours that you're supposed to be getting revenue on.
Mhm.
So, but you're not, you don't know that's going on, and you're paying them monthly on top
Right.
of that, and they never gave you any consideration, which you'll learn in contract law when you study it. Which
You
they
think
never
you're
gave you
paying.
nothing. They gave you no. What'd you say, Leon?
I said, you think you're paying.
Right, right. You giving your energy. I should say, yeah. You giving your energy every month. You giving your fiat
Right,
every
because them
month.
Federal Reserve notes, right? Yeah, just
Uh,
got me working the wheel of the system, right? Pretty much.
energy credit.
But they didn't give you any energy. They didn't give you
Right.
nothing. They
Nothing
didn't give
back.
you a briefcase of energy. You know what I mean?
It's
They didn't
a
give you,
briefcase of energy.
at least give me a briefcase
Of
of
your,
energy.
of your
At
own
least give me
energy,
that.
you gotta work.
And you know what's
Oh,
wild when you state or when you had said in the other in the other video, as far as how they they sell, I forgot the verbiage you used, the correct verbiage, but they sell your actual title or your mortgage to another company, which is fraudulent. They shouldn't be able to do that. And they did that with ours. Like they changed whoever we're paying our mortgage to, you know. And they were like, this is how you still pay the same amount or whatever, but you pay it to Lendings Nation, blah blah blah. Now you're like, so they pretty much sold it to somebody else, and they're just like you were saying, we could even do that. Like there's investors that invest in other people's. Is it a bond or is it a stock? I'm not sure.
Yeah, the
And
mortgage
get
note.
mortgage note.
Yeah, it's an investment. It's a bond. Yeah, people. It's a bond. That's exactly what it is.
It's a bond. Yeah. Okay.
right. Once they sell it, right, they're no longer the holder of due course or in due course. So therefore, it's no longer theirs. But you are on the part of the contract, so it belongs to you, right? To yours or to you. Does that make sense?
I couldn't quite hear you.
Okay. Let's say Maki and I make a contract, right, about a car, right? But then
Yes.
he gets the car, I get the contract, but then I sell the contract to another person, right? That contract was never signed with a third party. It was only between Maki and I. So when I sell it, it lawfully becomes yours because that other party never ever agreed to a contract. You never
Because I'm the only other, or Mafi would be the only other one on the contract.
It's between me and Mafi, and me and Mafi signed it. So when I sell it, is his signature on that original contract? No.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, he's a third party interloper, and therefore it has nothing to do with him.
Right.
Now he's trying to get you to give your credit.
Take over. That's kind of like credit, like when you're paying off a debt, and these other creditors bought it, and they still want you to pay it.
Right. So always ask for the holders in court.
Okay.
Because they don't have it, they have to provide it. They have to, and if they don't, then who owns it? Surely not them, because they don't have it. So it's you, because you have it.
Man, this is crazy. I mean, it's crazy, but it makes so much sense. It's so simple at the same time. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, you just like I say, I recommend studying all those things we talked about earlier, getting more clear on contract law.
Mm-hmm.
Read about SEC, SEC, the Security Exchange Commission.
Okay, yeah.
It's dealing with securities. The security, that's what the mortgage is. It's a security.
Does that have to do with trust as well? That's like how to secure your
No. They're just dealing with how it's a security, and what makes it a security is a contractual obligation that people are paying monthly, right? So they'll take that contract and then sell it to people because they know you're gonna pay. They know you're gonna make a monthly payment every month. So they'll sell that contract that you got into for the next 15 to 30 years to somebody else, like another investor, for like 40,000 or something wholesale. But now you paying them every month for the next 30 years, so they're gonna get their money back. Well, I'm giving a raw example, but you were never notified about none of this.
Is that just amongst a group of people then? Like where are they just buying somebody's contract up like that? Or like, is it on the stock market? Like
you can go buy, it's called mortgage notes. You can invest in one tomorrow. Hold on, let me see. Hold on. So somebody, brother Brian. I mean, no, hold on. Brother Hassan.
Peace and love.
Hassan. Yeah, peace and love. I know I seen you come up in here. How you doing, man?
Everything good, brother. How y'all doing?
Blessed.
All is well. Yeah, my camera messed up, so that's why my camera ain't on, but everything else is I'm doing wonderful.
No doubt.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, okay. So everybody clear on that. So so bottom line, Justin, I wouldn't attempt to do anything until you competent on what you're doing.
Correct.
And to even go further, like you part of this body, Khalifa Society. I would say before you even make a move like that, I would say just hit me, and let's thoroughly, brainstorm before you pull a move like that.
Yeah, most definitely. That's definitely what I'm going to do. I'm gonna become competent and and come to you as far as what those next steps should be and the next moves.
Sure. Yeah,
one more as far as what would I title 15 USC. Is there like a trust law 101 as well? Like I'm understanding there's a lot of different types of trust now, like family trust. I don't know, a whole list of them, but I'm just understanding that there's more than one type of trust. Or is that inaccurate, I would say, or misleading?
No, you're right.
No, okay.
You're right, but a lot of it is it's just excessive jargon and unnecessary stuff. Like the bottom line is you need to know the three parties of a trust, what that entails.
Three parties.
Yeah, grantor, the creator of the trust, the trustee, the administrator, and the beneficiary, the person that's going to inherit the wealth that's created by the grantor in his lifetime to be passed down.
That's more than three, though, no? What you just said?
I'm giving you I gave you the three parties and their duties. So the grantor, the grantor is the creator of the trust, grantor. The trustee is the administrator, the one that carries out administrative functions like a secretary. The will of the grantor gets carried out administratively by the trustee. right? The
Mhm.
beneficiary
Two
is inherits all the wealth that is generated by the creator of the trust. It's for the benefit. And you just need to know with how you want to structure your vision. Does the beneficiary get disqualified for not doing X, Y, Z? That's all on you or
Right.
whoever. But once you comprehend that, and then you make your bylaws or your trust indenture, your trust and jurisdiction of a national, and you're not using lingo. That's put your trust in a corporate. Um, they could pierce the veil, so to say.
Mhm.
That's it. It's very simple. It's not, and like I say, it's people paying 10,000, 20,000 the
For
bar
people.
members to get trust done.
Right.
And it's not even that complex. But at the end, and on top of it, these people was by them being US citizens with trust that they're not even, unless the trust is national origin, it's not even really like it's really a trust like that. That's the cold part that they don't realize.
So I had I think it was a CPA or of that nature that he was saying he could he said he can make a trust for me or do the trust process for me, but for some reason it doesn't feel if he makes it feel like he's more so in control of that trust than I am. I don't know why, but I just didn't really trust that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because I went down to City Hall. I went down to the county clerk's office in Norwalk, and I was looking, for property searches and any type of encumbrances or whatever. So
Mhm.
when I was there, there's people there that had stuff in trust. Um, wait, hold on. What was the last thing you just said? What was your last point?
As far as I believe he's a CPA. I'm gonna just say that just for the statement. But he
Oh,
was
that's where I was going. Okay, no. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So people had their stuff in trust, and their trust was filed at the county clerk's office, county
yeah.
recorder's office,
Uh-huh.
and the clerk that was helping the person out was like, "Who created your trust?" And the person was like, "Oh man, I gotta find his number." And right, so it was like she had no power. It was like everything was in the hands of the person that created the trust, and you
Right.
know,
But you think you got all, you think you have all that protection and everything what the trust is supposed to do, but being that you didn't create it or you didn't,
that
man,
makes you
No,
and
no,
that
you're
makes
right.
you
You're right.
incompetent.
You're right.
that makes you incompetent. Correct.
Makes you incompetent, which violates the whole trust law. And first, now you don't even qualify to be in trust. You have to be competent to even be in
Into
trust.
it.
You gotta be a competent heir, administrator, know how to
Dang.
run your estate. You showing incompetence. That's why I say these domestic trusts where it's done like that, where you hire a bar member, you give them about 40 racks, get my estate in order. You
40
know,
rap. That's crazy.
I'm telling you, it's crazy, you know, and they ain't, they violating the laws of trust law by doing that. You're supposed to create your own trust. Now, of course, like, you're part of a body politic. That's the whole temple function. Like, I could that's what the lessons are for so you can just know how to draft one on your own. But like I said,
Yeah.
I've done trust for more. Like I just charge like $100. I put your trust together. But at the end of the day, you're gonna get the
Mark
lessons
me
for
down,
free.
Mark me down for that.
Yeah. Yeah, but ultimately, like I said, we're gonna give you the lessons for free. Like, the tools, like I pretty much just told you how to do a trust right now. But like I said, if you still want me to do that, like, yeah, I charge $100 and make sure you got all the concepts right and make sure you're competent. You can administrate your
He
estate
wasn't,
properly.
it was like he still wanted to have a gray area to like, he was like, oh, I'll do it for you. It was kind of saying, I was saying like, I want to understand what's going on. Like if you could walk me through it, he's like, it's really complicated. Like just kind of making it overly complicated to where like kind of deterring me from wanting to know it, trying to.
He's just
All right.
cheating you. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But
All right. So how
yeah.
everybody doing? We clear on that? You got any more? Anything anybody else want to bring to the table, or other than that, we're gonna keep going through the.
Beautiful conversation you had. I love it. Got some great notes too.
Yeah, take good notes, man. All right, so let's see where we at.
USC on there.
Okay. What did you say, Elian? You said something?
I sent another USC Title 12 assets code.
Okay.
Banking and banking. National banking and subsection number 4, regulations of the banking business, powers and duties of national bank.
All right, so let's go through a couple more case law here. So we got Hofsmer versus Hayes. The courts are not bound by an officer's interpretation of the law under which he presumes to act. All right, so we got a measuring stick. That's why we got to be competent. We got to know what the measure is. So if a human being is not in harmony with that, now it's his personal opinion. And courts are not bound by the personal opinion of the officer's interpretation of the law. All right, that was the principles in Hofsmer versus Hayes. All right, so Ellamore versus McCammon. The right to file lawsuit pro se is one of the most important rights under the Constitution and laws. So, the whole point of this is you don't have to have a bar member in order to adjudicate, right? You're competent counsel of a nation state. If you're part of a body, you're a consular officer in their eyes, right? You don't need a bar member. You're an ambassador for a nation state. You're competent on international law. You know the measuring stick. You know the parameters of you having a nationality and being part of a body of people that share your same nationality. You know the measuring stick when you're interfacing with foreigners or foreign relations, et cetera, right? They call that pro se. But in actuality, it's in proprio persona. That would be proper.
I heard that term before.
That's just Latin for saying in your proper person, essentially.
Okay.
You don't have a bar member representing you. You're competent to handle your own affairs, or law affairs. So therefore, you're not minority. These are things. When we're saying minority, these are all of the ramifications that make you not classified as a minority. Competence in, areas of life, government structure, just,
These case law, right? These case law that you're showing us, these are what do what you just said.
Yeah, being competent in the principles that these case laws are. Yeah, right.
Yeah, is minority short for minor or come from that as far as
Minor is short for minority. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the mentality. The mentality of a minor, incompetent.
Mm-hmm.
So incompetent of what? We're going over what minorities are incompetent of. So
Mm-hmm.
once we know this, now we're not a minority, right? Because we're competent. What? Nationality, law, how to navigate, how to get your position on the record. All right. So
yeah, I was gonna ask that as well. Like, so you can there's different categories or subjects you can possibly still be a minor in a certain subject until you're competent in that subject.
Yeah. Yeah, in that context. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, you're not gonna know it. Just because you don't know certain things, you don't want to be classified as a minority, right?
No.
You might not know everything in the world, but to not be classified as a minority, the basics would be your nationality, your principles, and your dealings. Like, are you trying to unite with the people? Or are you trying to, like, what's your sole motivation?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you having this physical existence? Like, as far as what you're trying to build, Is it national in origin? Like, you know what I mean? So that's what distinguishes people, you know,
Yeah.
cultural signifiers, you know, versus not having that. But as to add on to, and everything else we've been talking about so far, you know, as far as with the estate and state and everything you was asking, knowing all that makes you competent, you know. Okay. Um, Legal arrest. An illegal arrest is an assault and battery. The person so attempted to be restrained of his liberty has the same right to use force in defending himself as he would in repelling any other assaults and battery. State versus Robinson. So once you know the law, you would know what constitutes an illegal arrest to even, you know, defend yourself. Each person has the right to resist an unlawful arrest. In such a case, the person attempting the arrest stands in the position of a wrongdoer and may be resisted by the use of force, as in self-defense. Now, of course,
That's tricky.
back to being a realist here.
Yeah.
The whole thing is to know the law, but of course, if you're just like you're not going to jeopardize your life or anything like that, you know, if it's clearly colonists and they're going to outgun you, they're going to swarm you, all this type of stuff. I'm not gonna. It's like I'm not. Let's let's not be silly here.
Right. Lose your life, or
But at the same time,
you have the right.
You have the right. Right. And this is why this is why you have back to the Chinatown, Koreatown, Little Bangladesh, back to these examples. Once you have human manpower on the same page, that comes with the territory. Like that's just natural. That comes with that. There's nothing to really be even flexing like that. Police won't even come in those areas. Police don't come in those areas like that to maliciously. You know,
they pretty much police their own community in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I say, it's at the point now, like I say, little Saigon, Chinatown, etc. They're the mayors at this point. There's so many of them in the same area where that particular national group is controlling the politics municipally in the municipality now. You know what I'm saying? So that's the whole point. You're not gonna have to enforce this like this. I mean, and if things do happen, best believe they're protecting their women and children and their businesses. They're not gonna, or they're gonna hire some security. In both examples, their stuff is getting protected. You're not gonna just go in there. You know what I mean? All right. Let's see. Where I leave off. Okay. So we get the point for that. Let's read one more case law and go into some history. One may come to the aid of another being unlawfully arrested, just as he may where one is being assaulted, molested, raped, or kidnapped. Thus, it is not an offense to liberate one from unlawful custody of an officer, even though he may have submitted to such custody without resistance. Adam versus State. So once again, if you're in an area where it's 5 blocks or more, organization, muftis, ain't too many foreigners gonna come over there like hostile. It's too many. Like organized, peaceful. Like, what's the point of coming over here? Outside of taking pictures and because they want to show their son that they came across more today. There's nothing else to come and harass us about, you know? They might send some agents through that look like us to attend the meetings to try to destabilize us to get to a point where we're like a gang or something into low vibrational activities and we arguing with each other. And now once we at that point, then we subject it. If everybody's staying silent, it's a natural protection there. You know what I mean? There's nothing to, you know. And my point was, if something did happen, it's like one or two, it's officers harassing one of our people or whatever. We're gonna immediately make sure that's not happening. Security. Why are you here? What's the issue? You know, what's the point? Like, what has there been a violation? What's going on here? You know. But that's not the condition. That's not the atmosphere that we have established. So, unfortunately, back to the
And
pecking order,
this
infrastructure.
is Islam, brother. This is just a random question that come to my mind. As far as even what we talk about community and coming together. Um, it's like, well, why? I guess why didn't the Panthers, move in this in this way? Because it seemed like they were the closest to doing that as far as in any of the so-called black movements. Um, yeah, like I just wonder why didn't they? Because it seemed like they knew a lot of law as well, or
They
moved like.
they they got close. Now after they got rid of Fred Hampton,
Oh yeah,
after they got rid of him, everything else was like a colorable version of the Black Panthers. Like they weren't
right.
on the same principles. If you notice in that movie, uh, Judas and
Jesus.
the Black Messiah,
Mhm.
if you notice that the head of the Black Panthers had a meeting with another sector in that area,
Mhm.
like they made them look like the Lords or something. They were called the Lords or whatever in the
Yeah.
movie.
Mhm.
But who Fred Hampton was going to meet with was the El Rukins, which was a Moorish Science Temple in Chicago at the time, to
Really.
unite. Yeah, to unite, to talk about how we can unite all these groups under one, under a
Rainbow
nationality,
Coalition.
under a Rainbow Coalition, right? We had right the Puerto Ricans, quote unquote the Puerto Rican, right? So
Hmm.
even though it was colorable and they're not Puerto Rican and we're not black, it was close enough of a prerequisite to okay, the Rainbow Coalition, cool. Now come to the more science simple so we can unite all of that. That's
Right.
what that was the steps that this 20-year-old young man, Fred Hampton,
Yeah.
chairman of an organization that had 17 chapters, feeding the community and all the, like businesses, hospitals under the jurisdiction of this organization, that had to be stopped,
Right.
especially in the 60s.
Right.
At that time, you know. So the reason to answer your question, it got infiltrated because in order to stop that unification, what has to happen? They got to send members to the meetings as agents
They
to
got to get close.
disrupt. Yeah, and what these members are going to do is going to get in the ear of the other members to go a little left. Yeah, I hear what he's saying, but we can do a little, we can do a little,
Let's
and then what
start our
happened?
own or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. And now you start having different sects. These different subgroups start springing out with different ideologies. So now these ideologies start beefing with each other on who's right and who's wrong on the original situation, right?
Distraction.
Now what that does is allow the foreigner to come in. This is, you know, it's not about nationality no more. It's a religious sect group thing, right? Right. So that's what happened. To answer your
Mm.
question.
Yeah, I could see that. I didn't know that information either, but that, like, when you say that, as far as like that's the closest group that I know of that were moving in a sense is, protecting themselves, feeding their own, didn't really own any property, but they were policing themselves.
Yeah, keep in mind this was like after Noble Drew Ali. So in the 20s, it was that times 10.
Right, because Noble Drew Ali, he passed or was assassinated what, in 19 something.
Yeah, 1929. And now you're
Right,
talking about something that was in the 60s. So we're talking about 40 years later.
right.
So imagine the breadcrumbs that they give us about what was going on in the 60s and whatever, which would look impactful. Imagine that times 10.
Right.
And then, you know how many speeches that they just don't show about Noble Joe Ali? We got breadcrumbs left behind. There's so much stuff in the FBI vaults that, you know,
Yeah, because he's like he's really hard to get any information on. Like
man, they got him looking so mysterious. You know what I'm saying?
I can see that's why
But
people that kind of deters people because there is no information. So it's like it messes with their belief as far as what we're saying. I feel like they don't know nothing.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna see. Let's continue a little bit here. So we got the principle of, basically, essentially the Second Amendment, right to bear arms and but it's not, remember the full context of the Second Amendment, right to bear arms to secure a free state. So now we're talking about a state again. We're talking about a state as an organization of people, thriving businesses, organization, right? Um, you got to protect that. You got to protect the community, right? The assets. It's not just a renegade thing. Like I got the right to bear arms, just me. I'm just, that's not what the Second Amendment says, right? Just to secure a free state.
Right. Right, to keep people and not be in front.
What are you securing? You just want to have, you know. All right, so there's a little background on that. What the stewards had tried to do to their political enemies, George III had tried to do to the colonists. In the tumultuous decades of the 1760s and 1770s, the crown began to disarm the inhabitants of the most rebellious areas. That provoked polemical reactions by Americans. Now, these are not Americans. So just for context, whoever doesn't know what I'm talking about, George III, a mulatto, a brutish Moor, a European Moor, his Albion, uh, ultimately will become pilgrims, etc. We're here in America. All right. They were disgruntled. They were, seeking to unite amongst each other to rebel against George III and others. It wasn't just George III, right? So the first tactic that George III and other, if it's Queen Elizabeth, King Louis, whoever was at the head of that, colony, specifically, they would attempt to get to disarm the pilgrims or the colonists, disarm them so they can't rebel against the British, right? The British is coming, the British is coming. So the British were trying to disarm, you know. So the principles of what they were standing behind was like, hold on, that's unconstitutional. How are you going to try to disarm us, right? So I was going to lay some background. I don't know how much background people know about that. So that provoked reaction by and they're not American. These are Irish, British, French people who are invoking their rights, all right, as Englishmen to bear arms. So they're Englishmen in this case. They're not Americans. That's what I wanted to clarify with this passage. So a New York article of April 1719 said that it is a natural right which the people have reserved to themselves, confirmed by the Bill of Rights, to keep for their own defense. In the Journal Times, et cetera, et cetera. They understood that the right to enable individuals to defend themselves as the most important early American edition of Blackstone's commentaries, et cetera, made clear in the notes to the description of the arms rights. Americans understood the rights of self-preservation as permitting a citizen to repel force by force, right? When the intervention of society in his behalf may be too late to prevent injury. So if you wait too late and just be passive, you might get killed. You have to self-preservation is basics. That's basic, right? Case law to support that. So all these case laws right here are dealing with the right to keep and bear arms as a self-defense. Okay. So hopefully everybody's looking at that, taking screenshots, etc. So you know, continuing, switching reels a little bit, dealing with what we were talking about when we first, start talking as far as money. So here's case laws, and these case laws are instrumental, especially Brother Justin, when you start putting writs together on principle on why the mortgage was fraud, essentially. You would use, case laws like this, to support your case as well. All right, so the term certificate of indebtedness has a similar administrative background. Since 1920, the Treasury has considered certificates of indebtedness as akin to bonds and indentures, including only instruments having the general charter of investment securities. Remember, I just said I was talking about SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, and why you need to study that. As distinguished from instruments evidencing debt arising in ordinary transaction between individuals, sales tax, etc. The Treasury itself has acknowledged that promissory notes lacking this quality have never been taxed as certificates of indebtedness. Promissory note defined. Promissory note is an unconditional promise in writing made by one person to another, signed by the maker, engaged to pay on demand or at a fixed or terminable future time, a sum certain in money to such other person, order to or to the bearer, free from restrictions as to registration or transfer, and usually without coupons. All right. So that was a case law giving you the parameters of what a promissory note is. All right. So Federal Reserve note is a promissory note. Case law that you can use on top of it, other things that we already know. If I can stand y'all can screenshot too. I was kind of just skimming through some case law. I was gonna go through every one, but it's enough just to have, y'all can screenshot and kind of go over the cases thoroughly and examine them.
In the drawer? Arriba. Acá arriba? Abajo. It's behind.
So let's go into some motion to dismiss standards. The standard of review for a court's decision on a motion to dismiss is well settled. A motion to dismiss, whether on the record, on the face of the record, the court is without jurisdiction. When a court decides a jurisdictional question raised by a pretrial motion to dismiss, it must consider the allegations of the complaint in the most favorable light. In this regard, a court must take the facts to be those alleged in the complaint, including those facts necessarily implied from the allegations, construing them in the manner most favorable to the pleader. The motion to dismiss admits all facts which are well pleaded. That's the key. Well pleaded. Have flow to your affidavit. It's not just run-on sentences and you just quoting like 6 different laws in one area, and it's not flowing, which is like a conversation, right? Well pleaded invokes the existing record and must be decided upon that alone. So the law is the law. Once you lay out what the law is and why things should be a certain way based on the law, and it's well pleaded, that's the law. Cogswell versus American. When the jurisdictional facts are intertwined with the merits of the case, the court may, in its discretion, choose to postpone resolution of the jurisdictional question until the parties complete further discovery, or, if necessary, a full trial on the merits was occurred. let's analyze this. Let's analyze convoy versus state. So the jurisdictional facts are intertwined with the merits. So what are merits and what are facts? Right? You have to ask yourself that. So when jurisdictional facts are intertwined with the merits of the case. So if we're talking as Moors, let's use a specific position. Us as Moors, the jurisdictional facts would be, for example, a municipal court would not be the proper venue to hear a dispute with a non-US citizen or somebody that's not involved with that municipality, a dispute. That's a jurisdictional fact. The merits of the case would be the nationality of the people, of the person asserting that. I like to use Sundry v. Moores Act. I like to use the actual treaty, right? Case law, rights of indigenous people, House resolutions. These are all merits that are intertwined with the jurisdictional facts, right? All right, so the court may, in its discretion, right? So now, so that's one highlight. Now, when these things are taking place, what happens? It needs to be a trial on the merits. So let's say they're charging you for something, and then you as the Moor bring up, for one, there's no injured party. Two, my nationality, which makes it the measuring stick of if I did something wrong, our treaty, right? Was there a treaty violation on top of the fact that, so you saying no injured party or has there been a treaty violation is kind of saying the same thing, but you can say both. Why not? All right. Would be an example of, bringing up jurisdictional fact. All right. So it needs to be a trial on that, an independent trial. Not what they charged you for, but the fact that you brought up a jurisdictional issue. They need to have a separate trial just on that alone. All right. So that's convoy versus state. They can't move on to what they're talking about. Oh, we found you've been charged for running a red light, or you've been charged for you parked on this street for 2 minutes too long. So therefore you violated our municipal laws. They can't even get into all of that when you bring up jurisdictional facts that are intertwined with the merits of the case. They have to address that jurisdictional issue first. Convoy versus state. All right. 2009 case. All right, let's continue here. So we got, because the defendant's claim implicates the trial court's subject matter jurisdiction, it may be raised at any time during the proceedings. So this was an example of, the post office jurisdiction. But what interests me more is the convoy versus state.
May I interject on that one?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I want to read from the Black Laws Dictionary on the merit system and merits, okay? The merits is the word merit as a legal term is to be regarded as referring to the strict legal rights of the parties. Okay, that's merit. The merit system, a system of appointing employees to an office in the civil service and of promoting them for competency only. In the United States, to the spoils system. That's interesting. That was it. I have to look into that one. Did you hear me?
Yeah. You were reading the definition of merit, Black's Law Dictionary?
Right. First was merit, then the merit system.
Oh, the merit system, okay.
Right. I found interesting what it says. Opposed in the United States to the spoiled system. I got to read. I just read that. So
I have a question because you mentioned spoiled system. If you look at like the structure of the United States, what is that? You talked about it too. It's like an ancient maxim that ignorance of the law doesn't make you exempt from it. So like, looking at like the way the system is set up, it seems that like to the victor goes the spoils, like almost like a tournament type of system.
It is.
That's all. I just wanted to add that.
That's why it's in trust. That's why they have "In God We Trust."
Yeah. Yeah, trust law is
Because
key.
right, trust is like if Maki and I has my wallet, that's a trust. He's holding my property.
Oh yeah, and God we trust. It's like the same. We're like it's
Government.
like a quasi manipulative way to like put you in like a state where you're. Are you a beneficiary of the notes? Actually, let me look at the Federal Reserve notes.
Right. Yeah, that's a good, yeah. That's a
Because
good
in
way to
God we
start.
trust, and then you're like a beneficiary of the Fed, right?
Now you're thinking. See, that's a good, yeah, because if we're talking trust, identify the parties to it.
It's them, you, then their instruments, because they use it for all public and private. They say for public and private debts.
Right.
Oh yeah, I'm starting to see it. I'm starting to see how it comes together.
This note.
Yes.
It's no,
This
see
note
the
is
note?
legal tender. It's not lawful money.
Now you see why I went over the note, the case law for the note, for the promissory note,
Definitely.
right? Because once you get more competent in this and you feel comfortable, like because really what popped it off was the brother Justin. He was talking about, how to undo the mortgage if you're in one, and how you make it proper.
Yeah.
That's an open court litigation on principles, because once you stop giving them energy, you're going to say why I stopped, you know,
Hmm.
Mhm.
And it's usually going to be because the principles of like natural law, order, you feel me, are like being what's the word? Obfuscated, obfused, or some word like that, where it's like deliberately being veiled. So it already breaches the contract law. Whereas like both parties have to be, competent and aware of what they're signing to, what they're giving their energy to.
right. Yeah. And once you become competent and you realize that it's fraud in the contract or it's foul play, and you address it, and you say, because of that, the contract is void in an affidavit form.
And you list your cases.
Yeah, you list all the principles on why the mortgage is fraud, the things you found out, the things that took place. Like we keep talking about the linear contract, and it was a lot of parties involved, but it was only your signature. There was no consideration. Like, that's a principle, contract law, you know, um, the how the mortgage note is being invested in. It's people investing in your note.
Mhm.
The reassignment of your contract. You know, the them doing that on false pretenses. It's the fraud of it.
Because
You know,
when what did they do when they left the gold standard and people turned it in a gold for the representation of like having the fiduciary notes, what they essentially did was like trade the real money for fake money. But we're not like that was generations before, and we're still under the same. Would that be a violation of principle? Because we are born already into a situation where you had no rights to enforce. You couldn't enforce your constitutional rights.
yeah. So the condition of the environment is based on the competency of the human beings, um, occupying the earth. So
Okay.
if you have a area of people that just don't know government structure, they don't know, you know,
His,
that's you know,
his Noble Drew Ali said, "The universe is mental."
Yeah, that's what I was saying because like basically by using the notes, participating in the system, out of ignorance, you're actually affirming, you're affirming their control over you. And then by natural law, if the world is mental, then they're not wrong for manipulating you. You're just using your powers wrong. Or
yeah,
like,
you allowed it because
yeah,
look,
you allowed it.
if back to this classic example, if you take all the Compton and Watts, all our people that are classified as Black and Hispanic,
Yeah.
and they woke up tomorrow and realized not only their nationality, but over the next 2 months from that point, they start putting all of them put $1 in a pot. It's about 50,000. I don't know, whatever. They all put
Yeah.
$2. They all put $10 in the pot the next day, right? That 50,000 times 10, they got 500,000 instantly in the bank for whatever they want to do for businesses.
Yes.
So what happened? What just happened just now? You just nationalized not the minds of the people, so therefore you nationalize the land, right? Because
Because
now
you
what you're gonna
became
do?
one body, right?
Yeah,
You
you became one
became
body.
one central
Now,
body.
yeah, and this body is gonna, since they're organized and got capital now, they can go to more people. They can go to other people that know their nationality and that are wealthy, and be like, look, this is what we just did. We're unified. We just need a little more assistance to, you know, like for our competency wise, we might not know how to farm. We might not know how to do certain things. So can we hire somebody just to, teach one of our members to know how to farm so now we got a member that can train our future members, now we start organizing and it don't stop. It's not just one quick answer. It's just we continue to plot and plan for the betterment of our society.
Yeah, it's like a
I'm sorry.
mental force of competence that like organizes and creates, order out of chaos type of deal.
And correct me if brother, you said dealing with that other competent nation, that would be international
treaty, right?
Right.
That would be like the definition of state. That would be international relationships with other nations of the globe.
Okay, right. So it doesn't technically have to be across the globe, but they are right here. But they're another.
They're right here. Little Saigon right here. Chinatown right here.
Right.
Little
right.
Bangladesh is right here.
Yeah, you breaking the
They
barrier.
gotta go nowhere. They here. There's people
Right.
that know their nationality right now. Setting up shop in America right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
And everything we need within the society should be built up from within. I don't think it should be subcontracting, meaning like one of the members may be a person who's like done security before or whatever, so they'll be head of security for the society. And then you got a person that may can cook in the kitchen real well, so they'll be head of the culinary part of you know what I'm saying? Different people. Some people got green thumbs, so they'll teach new members how to plant and grow and all that stuff like that. That's what I'm looking at the society to be like, bro.
Yeah, man. And it don't stop, It's just always having this type of think tank scenario, and we're gonna always fine tune, our situation. And just to give an example, back to the Compton and Watts example, that would be an example about where I was going with that was the paper. Because if you're at a point where you can feed, if we're farming, the whole thing is not to need the paper to survive. Once we have an ecosystem where we don't need it.
One thing I started to realize that some of these laws and organizations, they're older than and some of these treaties, they're older than, contracts, the governments. Governments have came and went, and like some of these, international laws have stayed. So there's a precedent that's already set for nation building, so to speak.
Right.
And you can follow it.
Man. Hey man, I should have hold on, man. Nah, I what you just said was beautiful, man. That's crazy. You just don't know how eloquent. That was beautiful, man.
I appreciate it.
Say it again. That went over my head.
Just basically, since there's already like a beating path for nation building, there's already like a legal precedent set for, defining your nation. So you could just follow the path that's been done for nations before. And
yeah.
Essentially, you can make a nation out of nothing if you organize and correctly establish your body, your corpus.
Yeah, and nothing new under the sun. It's not like we're creating something new. This is ancient. We're just trying to get back to the ancient mind frame.
For real.
We just failed. That's
Just
all.
waking up people, huh?
We just trying to wake up the people so we can mobilize and do some good work, in real time, So, but
Oh,
it's
is
not
that
like,
What really needs to be done, like what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is doing in the, I don't know what pamphlet that is, but waking up the sisters, and that
yeah.
will propel it, 1,000 times.
Oh yeah, yeah. If we had, more sisters, empresses involved, that's gonna take what we're doing to another level.
it's a
Yeah,
multiplier effect.
exactly.
Multiply.
Yeah. Seriously.
Because like you said, they have a magnetism that allows them to open door or enter doors or
Yeah.
have those conversations where, with another man, there'll be like almost like a silent war occurring. But like, with the female, they're gonna put their guard down and conversations can happen like that, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah. They're gonna put their guard down. They're gonna, it's a soft energy, just pleasant, but still competent though. That's the whole key. It's still the
Still comp.
competency
Yeah, she
is
getting work
not
done.
getting work done, but it's just a different energy,
Right.
I can get some work done a little faster.
Right. But we building right now, so moving towards that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Gosh, man, it feels
All right.
good when it really clicks, man. Like that feels really good.
All right, so I got a couple. Let me just. I got a couple more bullet points, and then we're almost done here. We're almost finished. Let's see. All right, so we got the United States Supreme Court has rejected foreign citizenship as a legitimate basis for state restriction on non-citizens' right to own property or to otherwise engage in the social commercial community. Trout versus Ratch, and also in Takahashi versus Fish and Game Commission. So what is this saying? Let's analyze. Let's marinate.
Right.
So just because you're not a U.S. citizen doesn't mean you can't own property. I got this at bottom line, right? So foreign citizenship or quote unquote a non-U.S. citizen, a non-citizen, that doesn't affect your right to own property or engage in commerce and be industrious, like we read in the right Act 5, Act 6 of the Constitution for Moorish America, right? So you can be industrious in a national capacity, and you can own property in a national capacity. Back to trust law, back to estate, right? In your national capacity, you got the right to do that. Case law, it was already decided. All right.
Or like as we see in, like you said, Chinatown, Bangladesh,
All right. So we're going to a little, reinforcement. Before I get into what I really wanted to talk about, it was case law that was I wanted to get into Peoples versus Detroit. So payment. Let's go with money. Black's law definition of money. In usual and ordinary exception, it means gold, silver, or paper used as circulating medium of exchange and does not embrace notes, bonds, evidences of debt, or other personal or real estate. Lane versus Riley. So that's money. So we got what money. Money is dealing with gold, silver, distinguished from promissory notes and bonds, right? All right.
Money.
So let's go to note. A unilateral, one-sided, right? So what is a note? A unilateral instrument containing an express and absolute promise of a signer to pay to a specified person or order or bearer a definite sum of money at a specified time. Shine Finance Corporation versus Julius. So when we analyze the note, it's a promise to pay. It's unilateral. So that violates contract law. So there's no payment, An abstract, a memorandum, and an informal statement in writing. Let's go to Treasury note. What's a Treasury note? A note or bill issued by the Treasury Department by the authority of the United States government and circulating as money, right? Circulating as money, but it's not. Let's go to promissory note. A promise or engagement in writing to pay a specified sum at a time therein limited, or on demand, or at sight, to a person therein named, or to his order or bearer. It's a promise to pay, but it's not payment. A written promise made by one or more to another, or order or bearer at a specified time. All right. So we get the point with that. It's a promise to pay. Federal Reserve note is a promissory note. It's a promise to pay. So, back to the reoccurring theme, because the tone for today when we first got on here was the mortgage. So the mortgage is a dead note, and they're asking you to give them Federal Reserve notes every month, right? And they didn't even give you that. So it's a couple layers. The promissory note is not money. They didn't even give you money or the Federal Reserve note. They gave you nothing. Right?
Right.
So
if a promissory note or the FRNs are not actual money, what are and they want us to pay in that? What is it doing for them? I guess how is that keeping the system fed or going?
Well, for one, people accept it for a bartering tool. For two, it's your energy, the energy that you need to acquire it.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, it's a bond. It's a bond that it's an investment situation that gets created, which allows for people to invest in and generate finance. Every time a mortgage gets in circulation, that's what happens. So, on the side of when you talk about Merrill Lynch and these people that's when you go into a bank, you can go into different cubicles and you're gonna see like people that deal with securities. You can come to them and invest in a mutual fund, and they'll coach you on the right things to invest in and stuff like that. But on the back end, they know what we're talking about, right? The bank itself has a division or the back office that deals with the mortgage as a bond, as a bank note. They're looking at it as a security. They're not looking at it like the borrower is looking at it. They're looking at it how we've been talking about the last 25 minutes. That's how they're looking at it. The higher ups of the bank. All right, so let's go carry on here. Contract, a promissory agreement between two or more persons that create, modifies, or destroys a legal relation. An agreement upon sufficient consideration. So back to contract law 101. Consideration makes a contract valid. What is consideration? Lawful money.
Meaning gold or the Federal Reserve notes or
gold and silver.
Gold and silver, right? Okay, that's what I'm just making sure.
If I may again. Noble Drew Lee said that he was going to use their Bible against them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to Genesis chapter 2:12, right before Eve is born or anybody, it's just God and Adam. In their Bible, God takes Adam, takes him to the land, and he tells him, hey, look, Adam, there's gold in this land, and that gold is good. So it's a commandment for our progenitor to use gold. And are they doing that now? And if they're Christians and they love God, why aren't they doing the command? Does that make sense?
Can you, as the brother Mafia said, repackage it a little bit for me? I guess maybe I got it.
Okay. They're Christians, right?
Correct.
They love their God. They love their Bible. They preach it to us, right?
Right.
So why aren't they abiding by what their God told them to do?
Okay.
Genesis chapter 2:12. Okay. It tells you that Adam should use gold. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Okay. Adam should use gold. And that's before Eve even came out.
Right.
I'm going to put that on the chat for you so you can look it up.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
I agree.
so yeah, his point was the gold situation. Why, gold is, ancient standard, right? But even on a double layer, the double layer, right? We're talking about, it's called legal consideration, right?
Right.
So on another aspect, we know the Federal Reserve note is not gold, but you didn't even get the Federal Reserve note.
As
You
far
didn't
as
even get that.
yes, I didn't get anything.
You didn't get anything.
They fabricated something off a computer, right?
Yeah,
Just thin air.
Thin air.
So instead of us having the paper money, we should have been like dealing with precious metals like silver and gold to pay for your whatever you need. That's what y'all saying?
No.
Yes.
Well, no, yeah. Well, yes, in the context of what I'm saying is, and I'm gonna say no, but you're right. But the context of how I'm talking right now is the fact that our people getting foreclosed on for missing the payment, and the bank is seizing their stuff. Once you know these principles, or once we know these principles, we can actually assist our brothers and sisters that are getting foreclosed on. Like we can literally have a firm, a mortgage firm, where once everybody's competent, we can spread out and go in different areas, and that can be a business that generates finance to our treasury to help our brothers that
Great
are,
idea.
because
Yeah, Mom, that's a good idea, Mom.
but we got to get competent on this, and that's what we're saying. When we're saying consideration, contract 101, it was no consideration, right? So therefore, it was nothing physical, even if it wasn't gold, even the paper.
It's still not. That's not. You just
Nothing was given. Because
valuable.
the reason it's called legal consideration, because paper might be on the equation, and then party A and party B agree to it. Like party B might be like, okay, I know it's not gold, but I still take the paper. That's legal. It's called legal consideration. And
Okay.
because now it's if it can fly. But if one party is deceived and one party knows what's going on, that's now we got another situation. Right. So
And
it's kind of two layered. I
our
want
case.
everybody to comprehend. Yeah. You know.
Question in regards to the money, or would quarters and gold dollars think that be more valuable than the actual paper that we chase?
Yes.
I'm glad you brought
I don't know how much
that
gold
up, because I think that's another element of what Hassan was asking too. I'm glad you brought that up. So it's not that, we got gold and silver now, so we're in a better position. What's the climate of society? What's the bartering tool for society at hand presently? What are we dealing with?
it'd be
Right.
the Federal Reserve notes.
Okay,
The
so
promissory note.
Yep. So since that's the case, only way to barter is to use that, or
What's valuable?
we start using that federal paper to get land, or play the mortgage game or whatever to get land to farm on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to the earth to feed ourselves. We don't, you know what I mean? So the goal is to, for one, create a bartering system, like something that you can participate and do commerce with, rather it be fruits and vegetables from the land. Somebody else might have some cotton, or somebody else might have some whatever, or no surgery. You know what I mean? Might be a
Be a
physician or something.
plumber. Be of some.
Plumber.
Be of some to the community.
Yeah. That now we back to our people being competent and having the vocational skills, so we can exchange our skill set with each other. Now paper is out the equation. Right. That's really what it comes down to. It's not really about having gold or silver, because technically, anciently, really, it was to heal. Silver repels bacteria. We were using that for a lot of different reasons. It wasn't just like, gold and silver is money.
Yeah.
We get that, but back to the national standards, it's really about relationships and bartering, and using our skill sets to thrive and build a community. So now the paper is out the equation. So now it's no ruler. The ruler over the paper is your God. Because you're gonna chase the paper to survive. Once you can X that out, now you got more of a sovereign mind frame. You're thinking like it's royalty. I'm a royal now. Royal thinking.
Mm-hmm.
That's the power of the people, man. We can only go so far as
Yeah, that's what it takes the people.
takes
I
the
have a
people.
question. This is a little like you were talking
Yeah,
about
hard to
the
me too.
properties of like silver. What was like the reason for gold? Because I know since like some of the ancients like ancient Sumer, some of them old lands, gold is like the primary. But if you think about it, gold has no practical use. At least I don't know. Besides like jewelry and adornment. So what did they use it for?
Well, you can drink it too, you know.
Yeah, you can
You
drink
could
it.
drink gold?
Yeah, drink of
Well,
gold.
and I'm atomic gold. It's if you have two atoms of gold or two atoms of gold, it becomes metal. If you have one, such as in the Bible, it tells you that they smashed it up into the finest powder and they drank it.
It also used to come in our fruit when the soil was good. It was also in our fruit.
Does that also mean that like what do you call it? Because they also talk about in alchemy about turning like base metals into gold. So I'm thinking, what is the like allegory connection, if there is any?
Well, that's a concept. That's a concept of transmutation.
Mm.
Alchemy, alchemist. The magician. So that is symbolic.
Mm.
Being able to turn your mind state. You can go from being angry to happy in 5 seconds based on a meditative state
Yes.
that you tap into. Switching up the ethers.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me just read a couple more and get to this. This is one case law I wanted to go into. We could wrap it up here. All right, so let's go into definition of consideration. Consideration is not to be confounded with motive. Consideration means something which is of value in the eyes of the law, moving from the plaintiff, either of benefit to the plaintiff or the detriment of the defendant. Nothing is consideration that is not regarded as such by both parties. And price and consideration, though sometimes the same, are not always identical. Illegal consideration, an act which if done, or a promise which is if enforced would be prejudicial to the public interest. Let's go into legal consideration. One recognized or permitted by law as a valid and lawful, as distinguished from such as are illegal and immoral. The term is also sometimes used as equivalent to good or sufficient consideration. So the good or sufficient consideration of what I was talking about, if both parties agree to it, then it's sufficient consideration, even though it's not lawful consideration, right? It's legal. Right, so pay. To discharge a debt, to deliver to a creditor the value of a debt, either in money or in goods for his acceptance. All right. So let's scroll down. I'm gonna scroll down. It's still talking about basically the inception of the Constitution, how Article 1, Section 10 talked about gold being money, right? But I wanted to get into this case because we pretty much get the point about the gold and the silver thing. We got that. So let's go into U.S. versus Long. So what happened in U.S. versus Long here? An informed jury found Mr. Long not guilty of willful failure to file a tax return. Not guilty for failure to file a tax return. In Donnie Williams versus Commissioner or Revenue Services, Internal Revenue Services, the Supreme Court, it was stated a note, promissory note, even when in payable on demand and fully secured, is still only a promise to pay. Since the Federal Reserve notes are not secured and payable on demand, according to law, they are only promised to pay and not a payment. All right, so that was a precedent in a case where it was an issue where Mr. Long did not file a tax return. He didn't have to. It's voluntary. And I think the brother just showed some liquid gold.
I don't have the liquid gold, but I got the Ethereum gold. It's tablets. These are the tablets, the capsules right here. And let me show you what they look like. This is the capsules. If you can see them, you just take one before, like you could take it at nighttime. It helps with the pineal gland for the to remember your dreams and to help with your dreams and everything. You take it like 30 minutes before you go to sleep. Here goes the gold powder. I also got it from the Medicenter. And this is where it's not the capsules, but it's a powder form, basically, because the capsules were sold out. I don't know if you can see it. If I get it.
Where'd you get that, brother?
Yeah, you got to drop the brands and the location for that stuff.
Oh, what's that?
The brands and location.
Okay, yeah, this one is from Harmonic Enterprise. I'll drop it down right now.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, I got you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, but it changes everything. You know what I'm saying? It's I think it's the mana from heaven. And what they do is they get it out of the rocks. It's created from it's piezoelectricity, but it's created through alchemy, like you were speaking on. So it creates a higher conductivity to your brain, and it also changes the DNA in your cells. And like I said, it decalcifies the pineal gland. So when you have dreams, you have very lucid dreams that you can remember, and as well you can connect to the cosmic consciousness, the universe consciousness, and you can basically get whatever you're looking for. Good for meditation. And the thing about this is you don't have to keep taking it. You just take it over a period of time, and then you can stop taking it.
Oh,
so that's
cool.
Yeah.
So the effects are permanent, right?
Yeah, the effects are permanent. I noticed the first time I took it, like the vivid, like it was, the colors were more vivid. Like when I first started taking it, my mind started being able to like observe things differently. Like I could see, like I was looking at a car and I was seeing it break down. 'Cause I'm a mechanic, so I was looking at the car breaking down and seeing the inside of the car, and it's not like a high or anything. It's more just like something when my mind shifted.
Yeah,
and it was like instantly you just take it. Yeah.
I do that when I make my sculptures, especially my angel sculptures. Right, I'm gonna show you one. I see everything before I even make it. I mean, I'm talking to a detail.
Oh, you got angel sculptures?
Yeah, I welded them, not carved them like you know how they carve it out of wax. No, I took a long rod and I. Can you see that or not? Let me see. Well, let me see if I turn that around. Can you? How do I turn this around? There we go. There you go.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Oh my goodness, that's great work.
That's
nice. It's all welded, the wings.
Wow.
So
Jesus, Elon.
Hey, it's cool too.
That's good.
Heavy too, ain't it?
Great work. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I weld a little bit, so this is impressive.
and this is aluminum. The other one was bronze.
Oh, that's
nice.
So this guy was going to be 16 feet at Los Angeles Trade Tech, but they stole it during the time when all the metals were ruled, whatever. So I stopped building that.
I want to show you my artist that you like angels as well once you finish.
Cool. I'm done with that. Thank you.
Check. I got some too.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
I got
but what you were saying, it's the gold that you're talking about, electricity will just flow through it, and it does not dissolve or anything like that. It's gold, it lasts forever. So your mental capacity to fire faster, it's better because of the gold. That's why they line everything with gold. Does that make sense?
Right.
So the gold will be always for everything. So when you're seeing all these things, it's just that your brains are firing and you're connecting more synapses to everything else. That's what's going on.
I think it creates the corpus callosum, if I'm not mistaken. It helps the left and right brain hemispheres connect as well, put you into a alpha state.
To ignite. Yeah, it's like a more output input. You don't lose anything. Like if you have a copper line, you'll lose like 5 to 10% later on down, depending how far it is. Where in gold, you won't lose no information, no nothing. It would just be a constant rate.
It just flows, constantly flows.
Right.
Wow.
Because the conductor is just 100%, where everything else will lose it in duration, time, length.
Dang.
It's a volcano in Antarctica spewing gold. Yeah, Antarctica is a topic. That's like a topic for another day, you know? Like
definitely, because I have my own questions about that place. Quote unquote.
Gold in the air right now.
I'm surprised CJ ain't in here. CJ brother Nazir L.
Look, I'm sitting up here thinking about changing my name on there. And listen, I love listening to you brothers speak, man. Y'all got it, brother. Keep on going. I'm here.
Hey, matter of fact, CJ put me on. That's Dr. Delva Blair. I started messing with the monatomic gold. Remember?
Indeed, brother. I remember. It felt good to see you having it, brother.
Yes,
I remember our conversation. You look, brother. You have. I'm talking about enlightened, brother. You've grown. Like I'm just watching. I'm enjoying it.
Okay, I'm about to drop the website right now.
This is beautiful because I've done research on this subject for a while, and I had basically, I was like, maybe I can make it in a lab, or maybe I could, but you could just buy it. This is beautiful, like, and you guys have an understanding of how it works and the results. So that's beautiful. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, get you some, man. Get you some as soon as possible. I think it's like $30 for 60 capsules. But if you do get the capsules, make sure you get like a bulk of them because they do go out really fast. And on his website, he speaks about how the monatomic gold is created, the alchemy behind it, how the Moabites or the Egyptians used them, and what they used them for. So, yeah. And this is where it comes from. I'll give you the website of where he gets it from. Or the company name. HarmoniCenterprise.com. And it's not a space with the enterprise. I'm just going to say the company name and then put .com. And hold on. They have so many different monatomics. It's not just the gold. I have another one that's black. It's a monatomic black, and it's good for, as well as the piezoelectricity. Say, for instance, if somebody's on heroin or something and they need to get it out of the system, or they've been alcohol poisoned or something, you could use the black and it will do something to where it could, it's not like a Narcan. It's more like it basically moves the stuff out of the system a little easier. So it's so many different monatomics they have, but the one that I would prefer or suggest is, or recommend, is the gold and the black. They have pink and all types of stuff, but the gold is what we know. And the black is also good.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we know different uses of gold. Anciently, so you talked about this last week towards the end, but I'm not sure whoever took notes on it, but House Resolution 5404. This was 2018. This wasn't even a long time ago. House of Representatives, it defined the dollar as a fixed weight of gold. They could use this as an exhibit as well. They went as far as to say why. I won't go into all that, but the bottom line is the dollar is gold or silver coin. We went into this fraud stuff last time. Let's go into this case law. All right, so racism is not a crime. So why it's imperative, back to the whole nationality versus the not knowing. It's a case law right here. It's a Detroit case, actually. Eric Peebles, and there were firefighters. It was about 7 of them. Only one of them filed a claim for national discrimination. The others filed for race discrimination. And we'll see what happened. You know. But in summary, we'll still read through it, but in summary, the brother that filed a lawsuit under discrimination for national origin got a favorable reply. His colleagues that argued the race argument
Right.
did not get a favorable reply. But let's go through that case. And once again, this is still principles and res judicata we can use for art. You got something?
Yeah,
Somebody
hey,
can say something?
yeah, it's me, Mafi. Also, going into that case that you're about to read, by the way, he did not declare his nationality yet. He just when he went in and filed this lawsuit, he filed it on like you say, discrimination of a national origin, but he was not an L or a Bay, by the way, and he still got it to go through. I just wanted to add that too.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. So this was decided, this case, Peoples versus Detroit, was decided June 1st, 2018. So here, plaintiffs allege that they were all laid off at the same time because of either their race or national origin discrimination. But as is clear, plaintiffs do not allege the exact same claims. Plaintiff Rivera alleges national origin discrimination, and the remaining plaintiffs allege race discrimination. Therefore, the question is whether national origin or race determination are substantially related. If so, plaintiffs should be able to piggyback off Plaintiff Rivera's timely filed EEOC charge under the single filing rule, which allows both untimely or never filed claim to be joined. Plaintiffs cite no case law, nor do they argue that discrimination claims for national origin are substantially similar to those of racial discrimination claims of a different group. While there may be an overlap between the concepts of race and national origin themselves, see Village Freeport versus Barilla, there is no case law to support the application of the single filing rule for the two distinct groups. Therefore, we find that the remaining plaintiffs are unable to piggyback off Plaintiff Rivera's charge. The city was placed on notice that Rivera and others similarly situated were alleging discrimination in the layoff process, but only of claims involving national origin. This finding comports with the goals of the notice requirement to put the employer on notice and allow the EEOC to conciliate claims that are shared by more than one plaintiff. So once again, in summary, the other colleagues of Rivera were trying to piggyback off his claim. They failed. So let's kind of go more in depth into the case. Matter of fact, I don't even know how to do that. There we go. All right, so Peoples, the 2018 case, Peoples versus the city of Detroit. So when we scroll down, let's scroll down here. Let's see. Oh, we got it highlighted right here. So the district court reviewed the record and concluded that only Rivera, now remember Rivera is the one that claimed the national origin discrimination, had properly exhausted his administrative remedies before bringing his Title VII claim. The city next argued that the single filing rule should not be applied to allow plaintiffs who had not exhausted their administrative remedies to piggyback on Rivera's claim, because Rivera alleged discrimination based on national origin, not race. And the facts of his claim were distinguishable from the other plaintiffs. So his facts were distinguishable from the other ones. We're talking about national origin, one talking about race, right? plaintiff's response to the argument, right? So, so bottom line, the the bottom line of that case and why we can use Peoples versus Detroit is to substantiate national origin, right? Which connects different things to that, right? Treaty, rights of indigenous people, Sundry Free Moors Act, um, so we can use Dred Scott to substantiate our point, as far as status. So that's Peoples versus the city of Detroit.
That's actually a crucial case, because if you think about it, Dred Scott, he was denied any like constitutional power because he was considered black or a previous slave, right? In a different jurisdiction.
No,
Well,
it was
he actually, if you look at that case, he actually was deemed a plaintiff in error. The reason why is because he came in with a European surname. He came in with a European surname. Now, just a few years before that, you had Abraham Lincoln, who defended a Moor and was successful because he used his nationality as a I'm trying to think of the term here. He used it as the main backdrop to his case per se, and he was successful even in those days. However, Dred Scott tried to come in with a European surname, traditions, everything you want to name. He tried to claim that he wasn't, that he was an African, free in one of the I believe it was the state of Illinois or Missouri, one of them. He tried to claim that he was free because his master taking him into another jurisdiction. So it was all based on status. It was all based on status, and that's why the judge deemed him as a plaintiff in error. It was all based on status.
So he didn't have an appropriate persona to justify his case.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
He had no status, and then it also laid a precedent how blacks, Negroes, colors, etc., could never be they're not U.S. citizens. Not U.S. citizens.
We can't be.
What you say, Elian?
You can't be.
Yeah, you can't be.
Right. Under the 13th Amendment Constitution, I think it's Article 13, Section 12 or 13, 12, something like that.
13,
Out of the 20 sections.
It's the 13th Amendment, Section 12.
There you go. 13, 12.
But you got to also keep in mind that this case was adjudicated prior to the 13th Amendment. This was 1857. The 13th Amendment didn't come into effect 1864, somewhere around that time. Yeah. So it was like 7 years after.
So basically the 1865 version of the law, with Dred Scott basically set the precedent that if you don't know your status, legally you could be taken advantage of, and racism is by that definition legal.
Man, yeah, exactly. So racism, so-called quote unquote discrimination,
Noble Droley said that.
Exactly. You're like open, they have like an open door to it, as far as violations and abuses are concerned. This is what the prophet has always been talking about, brands and things that delude to slavery.
Yeah. And then you got an earlier case. Can't remember, right? 1790, Sundry Free Moors Act. That was earlier, right?
Oh, much earlier.
But could you repeat that again for me? So basically, it was a former case that reaffirmed his status. That was,
I don't even think he used that case in that William. What is that called? William Plexi? William Dungy. There you go.
William Dungy case.
William
the
Dungy
other one was
Dred Scott.
Dred Scott case and William Dungy case. Those two major cases right there. You have to really look into. Read them if you can. Read them.
And one last thing for me, they have never been repealed or overturned. So they're res judicata. You can use these and just shut it down because you can't be a U.S. citizen. Period.
So is William
Period.
what? William Duante?
No, William Dungy.
Dun-
Can you put him in the chat?
You know, I'm thinking about William Plexi from Virginia. William Plexi
No,
from Virginia. He was the registrar who he changed. He made it official that we couldn't use Indian because we was using that at one time as a
Yeah.
nationality, and he struck that out and was like, nope, nope, you're gonna be either Negroes or white. That's it.
Damn.
I got
That's
something
the
for that.
reason why. Yeah, yeah. His name is William Plexi. He was from Virginia.
I'm about to show that too right now. The whole Indian thing, as far as case law too. That's how I was gonna close the meeting. But
And that's an interesting subject because if you look at the Native American population, at least in America, they have their own, basically their own nation within a nation.
Indians,
Indian reservations and stuff.
Yeah, the reservation. My bad. I'm not truly fully clear on that, but it seems like they have their own, sovereignty within the nation.
No, no, they don't. They're under the federal jurisdiction.
Still?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They always been under the federal jurisdiction.
Status
Very
is
much.
everything.
Status
This
is
not
king.
India. It's Indian. You take off the N, it's India. This is not India.
Okay.
India and Indian are colors. Indian red, Kobe, all those are Indian or just brown colors. Indian's brown.
Damn.
So you're saying you're a crayon still when you're saying you're Indian. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's true. The land's not India, it's Morocco. That's why we're called Moros and Morenas.
Oh,
on top of that,
okay, I get what you're saying now.
Even in the Spanish language,
Oh,
they'll if they refer to you out of respect, they'll call you Moreno or Morena. Yeah.
People are named after the land. Moreno,
but to
Morocco.
add on to what y'all saying too, right here, it just everything y'all saying just popped out. That moment you lie and claim to be Indian for tax breaks, and the United States de facto government still taxed you because you agree to be their Indian property or ward.
Damn.
Instead of honoring your foremothers and forefathers by claiming their name, right? Not some Indian brand for a colonial benefit. Now look, this is a case law. This is a case law. This is a Supreme Court case. Look, superintendent versus commissioner.
Too.
Yeah, 1935. Right? So argued May 20th. So Thomas J. Riley and Arthur F. Mullen, both of Washington, D.C. for petitioner, and Attorney General, and Frank J. Wiseman, Assistant Attorney General for the respondent. So let's read Mr. Justice McReynolds' opinion of the court. So Sandy Fox, for whom this suit was instituted, is a full-blooded Creek Indian. Certain funds said to have been derived from his restricted allotment, right? His reservation check, right? In excess of his needs were invested. The proceeds therefrom were collected and held in trusts under the discretion of the Secretary of Interior. See, look, now we're talking about trust. This is a trust where the Indian is saying the corporate foreigners are going, be involved in the trust. So that's domestic. That's when I highlight that before I continue to read. So the question now presented is whether this income was subject to the federal tax by the 1928 Revenue Act. The commissioner, the Board of Tax Appeals, and the court below answered in the affirmative. Let's see what happened here. Let's see. Petitioner maintains that the court should have followed the rule which it applied in Blackbird versus Commissioner. Also that it erroneously held Congress intended to tax income derived from an investment of funds arising from restricted lands belonging to a full-blooded Indian. Blackbird, restricted full-blood Osage, maintained that she was not subject to the federal income tax statute. The court sustained the view and declared that, let's see what happened. Her property is under the supervising control of the United States. She award, so it's already ruled upon that Indian is a ward. and her property is under the supervising control of the United States. And we cannot agree that because the income statute of Act of 1918 or Act of 1921 subjects the net income of every individual to the tax. This alone sufficient to make the acts applicable to her. Such holding would be contrary to the almost unbroken policy of Congress in dealing with its Indian wards and their affairs. Whenever they and their interests have been the subject affected by legislation, they have been named and their interests specifically dealt with. All right, so that's one case law. Talking about jurisdiction of Indian, right? Ward of the state and their subject. They're not sovereign. They're not, it's not a sovereign nation like that. So here's another one. Here's another case law. Carroll versus Trapp. Nor can we conclude that taxation of income from trust funds of an Indian ward is so inconsistent with that relationship that exemption is a necessary implication. Non-taxability and restriction upon alienation are distinct things. The taxpayer here is a citizen of the United States, and wardship with limited power over his property does not, without more, render him immune from the common burden. So that's another case law showing that the Indian is just a U.S. citizen. There's not a separate nation. They're wards and classified as wards.
Damn.
And then also there's a international court of justice case. They held that Indians are regarded as British subjects and as internet, they're not recognized in the international. They're not recognized as international units of law. And 3, their sovereignty only extends to the state that they are residents in. So let's say the Cayuga Nation, which was up in New York State, their sovereignty was only protected or recognized within New York State. It couldn't extend any further outside of that.
Damn.
And that's the International Court of Justice that held that.
Jesus Christ, they're in a predicament, just like us.
And look, United States versus Jackson, 1930 case. We have had frequent occasion to point out the duty of the United States to protect its wards, the Indians, and the consequent broad extent of its power over them and their affairs. That's the United States versus Kagama. So,
so
the list goes on.
Yeah, the quote unquote people that are over in the nation of India. Let's say you run into someone from India that's over here, and they're claiming to be an Indian. They're playing you, man, because their true names over there is Hindustani. Hindustan is the name of the land. So they're playing you when they sit there and tell you, "Oh, we're Indian. We're Indian. We're Indian." No, you're not. You're from Hindustan. You Hindustani. You guys speak a language called Hindustani. So they're trying to play you because look, we already just gave it to you how Indian is not even recognized. Period.
At all.
At all. The International Court held that nationally and internationally.
They're essentially prisoners of war still.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
That's why there's the $5 Indian.
What's that mean?
They were put in place to replace us. As far as Native Americans were concerned.
No, but what I'm saying is the $5 Indian was a doorway for these quote unquote Europeans and British, all those whoever can get in there, and they're still taxable and they're subjects to the United States corporation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They're trying to take over the land, but it's all farce. It's all a lie because it's not India. We're not Indians. It's a crayon.
Jesus Christ, that shit is horrible. I see that sentence right there.
Yep. See all this case law I've been scrolling through? Para versus U.S. Indians and their status as wards of the government. That's a Supreme Court case. Indian tribes are the wards of the nation. They are communities dependent. They're dependent on the United States.
Fuck.
Not independent. They're dependent.
They're not sovereign. They're not sovereign.
Wow.
That's United States versus Kagma.
Man.
United States versus Kagmar. This is already ruled upon. You know, the status of the Indian.
Jesus.
You know, it's funny because I just came back from the Cahokia Mounds, right? I was out there 2 days ago, and they had on this plank where they mentioned that the Cahokia Mounds is the oldest and one of the largest prehistoric Indian communities. And I just kind of chuckled and laughed at that. And as I was reading, I'm like, okay, we are on record as being the oldest civilized civilization on the planet. So how can the Indian be connected prehistorically to the I sat there and just laughed like, man, they tell it all right here. They lied and messed up right here on this very plane.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
That's crazy. Because I'm still trying to digest like this, because they make it seem like, at least in the education system, they make it seem like Native Americans are free in their own little borders. But truly, like, with more understanding, you realize they still prisoners of war in modern times.
Yeah.
Why they got the light on your face, Mama?
Yeah, man.
That's very sad.
So I'm gonna read a verse in the Quran and we can close out here. Yeah. Let's see. So we had chapter 13, Life and Works of Jesus in Egypt among the Gentiles. Jesus with Elihu and Salome in Egypt tells the story of his journeys. Elihu and Salome, praise Allah. Jesus goes to the temple in Heliopolis and is received as a pupil. And Jesus came to Egypt land, and all was well. He tarried not upon the coast. He went at once to Zoan, home of Elihu and Salome, who 25 years before had taught his mother in their sacred school. And there was joy when met these three. When last the son of Mary saw these sacred groves, he was a baby. And now a man grown, strong by buffeting of every kind, a teacher who had stirred the magnitudes in many lands. And Jesus told the aged teachers all about his life, about his journeyings in foreign lands, about the meetings with the masters, and about his kind receptions by the multitude. Elihu and Salome heard his story with delight. They lifted up their eyes to heaven and said, Our Father God Allah, let now thy servants go in peace. For we have seen the glory of Allah, and we have talked with him, the messenger of love, and the covenant of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Through him shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, through him Emmanuel. And Jesus stayed in Zoan many days, and then went forth into the city of the sun, that men call Heliopolis, and sought admission to the temple of the sacred brotherhood. The council of the brotherhood convened, and Jesus stood before the Hierophant. He answered all questions that were asked with clearness and with power. The Hierophant exclaimed, Rabboni of the rabbinate, why come you here? Your wisdom is the wisdom of the gods. Why seek for wisdom in the halls of men? And Jesus said, in every way of earth's life I would walk, in every hall of learning I would sit. The heights that any man has gained, these I would gain. What any man has suffered, I would meet. What I may know, the griefs, the disappointments, and the sore temptations of my brother man, that I may know just how to succor those in need. I pray you, brothers, let me go into your dismal crypts, and I will pass the hardest of your tests. The master said, take then the vow of sacred brotherhood. And Jesus took the vow of sacred brotherhood. Again, the master spoke. He said, the greatest heights are gained by those who reach the greatest depths, and you shall reach the greatest depths. The guide then led the way in the foundation Jesus bathed. And when he had been clothed in proper garb, he stood again for the Hierophant. That's one of my favorite chapters. And once again, holy books, principle-based books. You know, you gotta see how low you can go. You gotta see what you made of before you take that ascension. You know. So I want to close out in prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, my salvation by night and by day, who was Holy Prophet, Noble Jew Ali, Islam. So I'm gonna come